Hi and welcome to tutorial 62 in this series of tutorials and programs that focus on TradeStation EasyLanguage. In today's tutorial we're going to be looking at how we can find the extremes of a certain number of bars and specifically the highest high of the last 5 bars. Having done that, we're then going to look at it how we could find the highest high but starting at the previous bar rather than at the current bar, and then finally we're going to work out which bar actually was the highest and what the CCI value was at that bar. Sounds a bit complicated, but I think you'll see it's pretty straightforward. So let's go straight in, and I've already created a simple program, and all it does is it calculates the 14-period CCI, plots that. It also works out the highest high of the last 5 bars, and this is how we do it using this TradeStation function, highest high, and 5 being the number of bars. And then what we've done is just plotted, or rather drawn, that value on the chart using the text new function. Remember that if you're trying to put a number using text new, you have to convert it to a string, and we do that using num to string, h5 being the variable we're converting, and 2 being the number of decimal places. So I've already created that and applied to a chart, and if we look at the chart here, you'll see some of the values. So let's just take, for example, this bar here, and what we're trying to find is the highest high of the last 5 bars. So if we count back from this bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks to me like this bar here is the highest. The high of that is 1337.25, and we go back to our bar, we'll see, yes indeed, it's 1337.25. If however we looked at the next bar, you'll see very clearly here that the high of this bar, the high of this bar is obviously the highest of the last 5 bars, and you'll see that that's 1338. Okay, so that's how we find the highest of the last 5 bars. But what about if we wanted to find the highest of the last 5 bars starting at the previous bar? Well, we can do that very easily by just putting after this in square brackets 1 like so. And what we'll see now, if we just going to verify that and just go back to the chart. In fact, what I'm going to do is also, I'm just going to, instead of drawing these at the high, I'm going to draw them at the low, just so that we get a little bit of space there. And just go back to the chart, and so let's have a look. So, for example, this bar here in the previous example was the high, but now we're seeing the high of 1337.25, which, if you remember, is the high of this bar. And that is because we're not including this bar in our calculation now. What we're doing is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of those this is the highest, so that's what it's returning. Okay, so that's the first part of this tutorial. Okay, so what we now want to do is actually work out which bar that highest occurred at. And we're going to do this using a TradeStation function called extremes. So what I'm going to do is type in value 5 equals extremes, and then the thing that we're trying to find the extreme of, which in this case is high, could be low, close, whatever, even a calculated value. The number of bars back that we want to look at, 5. If we want to find the high, this is going to be 1. If we want to find the low, it's -1. In our case, it's 1. And incidentally, you'll see that we're getting some help with the syntax of this function on the screen here. You could also right-click extremes and find the definition there in the TradeStation help. The other thing that we're going to do here, this is a function that returns multiple values, and the convention that we use in TradeStation is we put the little O before them, and we put them in the function as so. And the first one is going to return the extreme value. The next one, extreme bar, is going to return the number of bars ago that extreme value occurred. So that is everything there. The only thing that remains for us to do is, just like we did with the highest function, we want to start counting. We want to look at this starting 1 bar ago. So we're going to put in square brackets 1 like so, which is an offset. The other thing that we need to do is we need to declare our extreme val and our extreme bar as variables. So I'm just going to copy and paste those as like so, and then we should be in good shape. So I'm going to press F3 just to make sure we don't have any errors, which we don't. And then in order to check that this thing is working correctly, we're going to create a print statement just so that we can see what all the values are. So I'm just going to go ahead and say print and date, time, and I'm going to say high of last 5 bars starting 1 bar ago, so we know exactly what we're getting here. And that is, as we know, what we've calculated here, H5. So I'm just going to put that in there like so. It's also incidentally what we're calculating here, so we're actually calculating it twice at the moment, which is unnecessary, but I just want to demonstrate that these values are going to be the same. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to find out how many bars ago was did the highest occur. So we're going to put in this variable here, and then finally we want to know what the CCI value was at that bar. In other words, when the highest of the price occurred in the last 5 bars starting 1 bar ago. So we do that by putting in CCI val, and then in square brackets we want to have this at O extreme bar. Close square brackets, close round brackets, semicolon, and press F3 just to make sure we don't have any errors. Great, so we look like we're now ready to go and look at this applied to the chart. Okay, so we'll go to the chart and see what we've got. So the first thing we're going to do is find a particular bar that we want to analyze. So I suggest we look at, just start at this one, which is the 930 bar, and it is saying that the highest bar, the last 5 starting 1 bar ago, is 1346.25. I think if we look at this bar, we'll see that that is the high of that bar, 1346.25. So let's first of all analyze the data for 930, which is this line here, and you'll see that the high 1346.25 does indeed correspond with the value that's drawn on the chart. You'll also see that O extreme val is exactly the same as we predicted. And then finally, the O extreme bar is telling us that that bar occurred 1 bar ago, which indeed it did. Then finally, we just need to see what the CCI value was there, and you'll see 118.88, and that is the same value that we can see in the print statement. So that's one scenario. Let's just find one more, and okay, so perhaps this one here. This is 645 on 426, and it is saying that the highest is slightly difficult to read there. I'm just going to try and create a little more space here. Okay, 1337.25. So looking back 5 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks to me like it's probably this bar, and indeed you'll see the high 1337.25. So let's just go and look at the print statement for that bar, which, just to remind you again, was the 645. Okay, 645. And you'll see that again the print statement is showing that the high 1337.25 is actually corresponding with the chart exactly. It's also telling us here that the extreme bar occurred 2 bars ago. So if we count back 1, 2, we'll see that that is indeed the case. And then finally we just need to see what the CCI value was for that bar. And if we go down there, you'll see that the CCI value at that bar was 102.75, and you'll see that that is indeed what we're seeing in the print statement. Anyway, that was a very brief introduction to finding extremes on a chart, and I hope you found it useful. Again, if you're not part of the Markplex email list, then please go to markplex.com, and I will be happy to let you know when I release new tutorials or programs. Thank you.